Old people of Reddit, what were elders from your time ranting about? The bands that I got into trouble for listening to, Van Halen, Definition, Leopard, etc., are now background music at Walmart, the Up store. My parents used to tell me how lucky I was to have electricity, hot water, etc. They said only rich people had cars when they were young. Same things as always. Young people have no work ethic, bad music, and too much sex. I'm in my early 50s, so I guess that counts as old. Don't watch so much TV. I could only watch half an hour of TV a day, so I'd go to my friends' houses after school where their parents weren't so strict. Don't sit so close to the TV, go outside and play. You've been on the phone for an hour. You just saw your friends at school. Get off the phone, edited to fix mistake. One half. An hour of TV, not one half a TV. Be nice to an old lady, okay? I'm lucky if I can remember my own name some days. One of my husband's relatives is like 70 something, and she's a very nice lady, but she is vehemently against D&D. Supposedly, as it was explained to us, she believes that you have to do some kind of satanic ritual to bind demons to your service, so they make you get good dice rolls and make your character do well. Honestly, that sounds way more exciting than D&D actually is. Cause they were knights in Satan's service. Satanic members with their devil music. It's like light rock now, lol. Rock and roll and Elvis hip gyrations. OS*** T. I was looking to read answers from the 50s, 60s, and maybe 70s, and nope. I'm the audience for this question. So, elders from my time ranted about sitting too close to the TV, which I watched too much, my crap handwriting, and spending too much time fiddling with my T99/4A. Anyone else learn basic by making Mr. Bojangles? The Simpsons. When it came out in Australia, there was a lot of controversy over Bart being a bad influence on children, and, to a much lesser extent, Homer being abusive. Hell, there were politicians trying to have it removed from the airwaves, and that was before that insulting episode where they came to Australia. My parents complained all the time that I spend all my free time at the computer and I'd be a beggar and complete failure in life. I'm software engineer for 20 years. Madonna being a bad role model for girls, MTV, Crayola colored hair. The Beatles and rock and roll suck. Frank Sinatra and lounge music is going to be popular forever. Too much TV. You should be outside. Length of hair. Gas went up to 20 cents a gallon. Beatniks. Our music, hairstyles, fashion, lack of morals, etc. I'm an old deaf ***KER now myself, but I refrain from getting into intergenerational flame wars with the younger folk. This my group is good, your group is bad. BULLS***T gets real old, real fast. Running up the long distance phone bill. Not an old people, but Socrates thought writing things down instead of memorizing them would destroy learning forever. Heavy metal. D&D. Too much TV. Smoking. Skateboarding. You are 14, get a job. I don't think of myself as old exactly, 48. But I remember my grandparents born in the 1910s calling the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, noise. And when I listen to the music from their era, it is different, and I feel sad. Their music wrapped between world wars tried to be happy, but always seemed mournful. Like their generations couldn't forget what they couldn't forget. Some folks born in the 40s and 50s changed that in the 60s and 70s. They didn't change the world, but they sure gave us some great music. My granny, born 1920, was in the car with us listening to the radio when the Beatles came on. She said, I used to think the Beatles were just a load of noise, but compared to this newer stuff they're actually quite pleasant. So basically, always music. Edit. I'm aware that 30 is not that old, and I'm aware that lots of people also have/had older grandparents, but my granny would have been 33 when she had my mum, who was 37 when she had me. Us young folks with older grandparents are not the norm. My grandpa said, as a kid he would help all day at a dairy farm, from the time he woke up until evening. Instead of being paid, He would get a piece of bread with freshly churned butter. Churning was one of his jobs. With honey on top. The way he talked about that piece of bread I remember so vividly, and that was over 20 years ago. Not much of an elder myself, but this quote from around 2100 years ago always made me laugh. Times are bad. Children no longer obey their parents and everyone is writing a book. Marcus Cicero, 106 to 46 BC. Edit. So, thank you for the gold. The only thing I ever heard my maternal grandfather rant about was the length of men's hair. Other than that, my grandparents never ranted. All four of them had tons of cool stories to tell. My paternal grandmother died shortly before my 5th birthday, so I didn't get to hear much of hers. But I remember. I miss hearing about the old days from the rest, and even stories from the war. I'm now in the process of writing them all down for my kids. Things said about the young boomers. They're all narcissistic. Me generation. Their music is too sexual. They watch too much TV. Too many drugs. Too much partying. Too much sex. Their feminism is making women into men / is going too far / is destroying the family unit. They only care about money. Yuppies. Those goddamned, pot-smoking, anti-war, tree-hugging, socialist, anti-gun, anti-America, communist, hippies. Black people, wars, government telling them what to do, no jobs, not enough money for all their kids, homosexuals, drugs, heroin, and pot most, but changed around the 80s to crack cocaine. Having to work 16+ hours a day, to have a house and food to feed a family. Police brutality, just a few that I remember. Rock music being too loud, and not being able to understand the words. Guys having long hair. People protesting the Vietnam War. Teenagers and young women wearing their skirts and shorts too short. Marijuana being evil. Kids being disrespectful to adults. The open casual attitude about sex. The lack of chaperones on dates. The women's movement. 1970s. 10. Kids should be seen and not heard. 11. Kids watching too much damn TV. We were all spoiled with how much we ate, especially meat and out of season veg. You should never waste food. Leftovers cooked into the next meal constantly. Didn't trust the government. Felt that you should learn to do everything yourself, not pay anyone to do it. Bad DIY everywhere and homebrew booze. Basically after living through rationing and war that you shouldn't be wasteful. There was other more paranoid and tea-change stuff, but mostly it was about hard graft and frugality. Note, this was my great-grandfather, I'm not that old. Using the word cool too often. Germany. I remember my grandmother complaining about her soap opera having coloreds kissing. It really upset her. My mom, 87, can't understand why kids these days don't use a top sheet or washcloths. I try to tell her about duvet covers and liquid soap, but she doesn't seem to retain it. Then again, she dyes her hair with shoe polish. I'm a baby boomer. Every time I would complain about something, feeling sad, or nervous, or shy, my dad would say, well, I felt nervous when I was hip deep in French mud, getting shot at by the Germans. Comic books. I guess 63 qualifies. I remember my parents losing their minds over the excessively long hair worn by the Beatles, and the hippies in general. Any there that had to put up with being ranted at hears it when someone says any of the modern things about millennials. Getting your life together, being responsible, not taking the same path they took despite the 20 years the world has changed. Make sure to like and subscribe for more daily content. Thanks for watching.